Well, we're here with the aftermath, but we're gonna start on the truck's aftermath. For smoking a deer on the highway, that's not too bad. It smashed in the fender, it cracked my grill and stuff, and kind of shoved the headlight and the bumper over. But I now lost my onboard air, so I'm gonna have to spend a little bit of time and try to find out why I do not have my Jake brake or my air horns. This track was extremely muddy. For you guys that don't know or watched any of the videos, I went to Dresden. And I believe I ran the most heats out of anybody there. I went into my mini heat where the car ran fantastic. It ended up getting hot and turning off. But I didn't have first gear, so every time I tried to go forward I had pretty much second. But in reverse it was very peppy. I did not make finals in my heat, so I realized that the motor wasn't running the best. I figured that my transmission was just about done, so I tried to go in full size. And this was a lot of 70s full-size GMs in there and some very welded up Crown Vics. And they actually DQ'd me, and I don't think it was actually the perfect thing. Guy had an all-black door with magic written on it, and I hit about right here with my bumper, and yes, the bumper overhung a bit, but going against full-size GM cars and Ford cars that fully welded up, I can't really go nose to nose with them. I gotta try to pick tires. And I was just trying to pick tires and they DQ'd me, which I thought was crap. They DQ'd me for a driver door, and then there was about 9 other big driver doors, full track, that nobody even got called for. So I wasn't overly happy about that. And then in the finals, take a look, well sorry, I went to the consolation after that, so that's my 3rd round. And then I went to the finals, which was the 4th round, and this is what my door looked like leaving the finals. And nobody got called for a driver door, the entire derby except for me. And this is what my door looks like. I was not overly pleased about it. Overall, the derby was 5 hours away from my house. And I really wasn't overly pleased with it. I get that weather, you can't control weather. It did rain quite a bit. The track was very, 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 very muddy. They tried to do what they could to get the mud away, but overall, I really wasn't overly impressed. Tech, the guys at Tech, I seen a lot of people cutting. Even I had to cut. You guys want to see what I had to cut for Tech? You weren't allowed to seam weld your bumpers. So I folded the ends over and then I just welded them, and they didn't like it, so they just wanted me to cut the welds to take the ends off. Other than that, I was good for Tech. But there was some issues with a lot of other people. Some people got away with some things. Some people got away with different things. It's kind of all over the board where things were. So honestly, I didn't have a problem with Tech, but other people did. This is my first time going to that derby, and unfortunately I don't think I'd be going back. I actually got a lot of people coming up to me, said they were happy to meet me, glad they were able to meet me, glad I made the drive. Just a lot of people that wanted to shake my hand and say hi, and I thought that was pretty awesome. But as for the track conditions, they did their best, but the track kind of sucked. But overall, I don't think I'll be going back. It's just the drive. We left here Saturday night, derbied all day Sunday. We didn't get home until 3:30, 4 a.m. Sunday morning. And it was a long drive. But, I don't know. Overall, how rotted this Lexus was in the back of it, it actually came up pretty square and pretty straight. I did have to cut the corner panels away from the rear tires. Subframe in the back is garbage. Trailing arms in the back are garbage. Both struts are garbage because, like I said, I could barely move forward very fast. Passenger side frame rail kind of like did a jog here and started coming towards the driver's side. It stayed extremely straight, subframe straight, everything's really good there. But what I don't see very often is what happened to the driver's side. See the trailing arms busted there? The driver's side frame rail twisted and came up pretty hard on me. As you see, she completely folded over on herself. I was not allowed any plates at this show. I was not allowed really anything. I had to keep subframe spacers this factory. All you guys that tell me that your subframe spacers are ripping out, I have no idea how you're doing that, because look at the stress that's on this one. But anyway, no plates allowed, no real modifications to the subframe or frame. Look at that, it did rip the bottom one out though around the washer. That's pretty intense. But subframe's still half decently straight. You can see that it's starting to go back here. Not too bad yet. but up here she's kind of started to fold. You know, and if I was in a bind, I might be able to use this one again and just push it down, but I don't think I'm going to. What ended up taking me out is because I didn't have first gear in my transmission. I was trying to basically just drive in second, and then I pretty much just cooked the transmission out of this. The mud made it so hard to move that it was basically, I bet you this car weighs almost double of what it did weigh. So the mud kind of put a huge damper on it. I do have GoPros from the inside, and I had GoPros on the roof, and I don't know how well the footage is going to be because of how muddy it actually was, but I don't know. Let's see what we got here. Like, look at the size of chunks of mud coming off this thing. That is ridiculous. But you know, like I said, they can't do much for their track. It was a beautiful 28-degree day, and then all of a sudden it just started downpouring, and then that left and the sun came back out. It's pretty weird. How big a chunk is this? Like, look at, and it's big, thick mud. Look at the size of that. That's what the track was like there. So, you know what, if I got another Lexus, I'd definitely run it again. It's the exact same as a Camry other than the door jams. One thing that I did like was this back brace. As you can see, it was rotted back here and it clearly ripped away, but I imagine that brace right there helped keep this thing together. It does have a nasty kink in it now though, but maybe we can try to reuse it. I don't know. Overall, all the seams other than this back corner stayed together. Everything kind of worked great. Switch panel worked great. Shifter worked great. Just the transmission wasn't getting low. I kind of a rush to build this, and I guess I didn't go through all my steps to make sure that transmission and motor were in great care, but overall had a fun time. But the one thing I did notice about this show, there was a lot of people that went there that actually qualified for the finals that didn't go in. There were supposed to be 14 cars in finals, 3 heats, 4 from each round, so that's 12. So you got top 3 plus Mad Dog, and then 2 from the Constellation. So that's a total of 14, and they only had 10 in the finals. So that means that 4 cars didn't make it, and I actually know 2 of the drivers decided not to go in because of how muddy it was. For the Constellation round, I actually know that a lot of drivers told me they were saving their cars because it wasn't worth going back out into that track because of how muddy it was. But, you know, you can't really stop the mud coming. They didn't wet the track down at all, so just can't believe how much, look at that, is right packed in there. Car still runs great. It gets hot quick, so I imagine there's some head gasket issues with this thing or something. But we're gonna have to try to figure this out. I will be pulling the motor, the axles, the spindles, the brakes, everything off of this, but I will not be saving the transmission. I'll be pulling the transmission out and then probably just hucking it back inside this car. We'll be saving the seat belts, cage, all my derby apparel. I will not be fixing this just because I do not want to put another motor into this. With that driver's side frame rail as bad as it is, I'll hopefully be able to get this hood off here probably then the next day or so to show you. But with how bad that driver's side frame is and how bad and far this back has gone in and it's actually already ripped away, it's not worth it for me to run it again. I'm just going to send it in over the scales. It's kind of a shame, but the Lexus was a kind of a sore thumb from the beginning. Bought in with a bad transmission, and then a couple motor swaps later, here I am still with crappy running and driving Lexus. But I think it held together pretty good with just seat belts. Like, I have the radiator seat belted in. See the seat belt holding the radiator. Got the hood seat belted shut. No threaded rod up here. Doors are just seat belted shut. That's it. The only spot I had threaded rod was back here, and I just had 2 lengths. But I think this car held together pretty good for what it is. So I'm going to pressure wash this thing up. I'm actually going to wash the Dodge as well so I can work on it. And then we'll try to get it off the trailer. See what she's going to be like off the trailer. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow.